Welcome back to episode 3 of Faith, Family, Fitness in Your 50s. And I'm here with my co host Lee Brown, and we are just getting back from Las Vegas. And so I thought it would be practical to talk about vacations, Good Friday, and Sabbath Saturday, since all of those are happening this week.
Those are great topics. Let's do it. Let's get into it.
All right, so thinking about vacations, was faith, family, and fitness present on vacations past and present?
I think more so now. I think we make it a part of our everyday deal to be in faith and to be in relationship with the Lord. I think everywhere we went, when we got in the car, we asked for protection and guidance, and um, so I thought we made it a habit of everything, a part of everything. If we are believers, we want God to be invited and have access to every part of our lives. And I think now we actually do that quite frequently. Now it's a habit, it's a lifestyle. Where before, I do remember praying over vacations.
Who wants to pray?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, and then the kids. And that was it. And then when we got home from the vacation, I'd pray like, "Thank you for the vacation." But now I think we do it like every day, every activity that we're part of. We invite God and we ask Him to bless and cover us.
Oftentimes, when we went on vacation with the kids, we were going for a religious holiday. We would go for Thanksgiving or we would go for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, the kids were involved in praying, and they most times were eager about praying.
Right.
I think when you're traveling with young kids, some tricks of the trade that we had is we didn't have a lot of money, but if they had their little game, I forget what they're called.
Game Boy.
If they had their Game Boy, even if we had one Game Boy, they could share it amongst themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then pretty soon each one of them would have their own Game Boy, and
Yep.
they would be playing in the back, and that made the trip a lot quicker. They they joke about it now, but you go to the bathroom before we leave, and then when we get there, you can go again. But the object of the trip wasn't so much the journey, it was actually the destination.
Right.
And I think we've changed that way because now it actually is the trip. Enjoy
Right.
the entire trip.
Right.
The flight, the car ride, whatever it is. But with 4 kids, it was really get in the car, let's go, and let's enjoy the destination.
Oh, we were terrible parents. We'd be like, "Hey, we would rather you wet your pants and poop your pants versus stop." So we got one stop and that's it. Okay, that's a little bit exaggerated, but again, it was get to the destination as fast as possible. So, anyways.
And I think the fitness piece has always been in it because spring break we traveled to the beach to visit my parents, and it always happened during track season.
Mm-hmm.
And so they always got a workout in, whether it was a beach workout, whether it was hiking. Remember that hike, kids, that we went over from Astoria to Seaside? It was an all-day event with Hebe and her flip-flops, which didn't work out so well. But fitness has always been something that we didn't really have to force within our family. They always they made it appear because maybe it wasn't fun, but playing in the backyard, they would do soccer. On the sand, they would have their own races or make their own cliff jumps. So fitness has always been part of our vacations as well.
Right. Yeah. And like you said, I think it was just ingrained in them. Well, they did activities that, maybe they weren't aware of, but they did a whole lot of running and jumping. And so it was just programmed in them to be active and stay fit. We didn't have the 6-hour drive down to Seaside, Oregon, or Portland, 8 hours. They got to entertain themselves in the car, but for the most part, once we hit our destination, those Game Boys was pretty much put away. They really didn't care too much about playing them, only when it was, when we're on the road. So that's what I appreciated about our kids, that they love to get outdoors and run around and play together and exercise.
When we were in Vegas and we were doing our hiking and kayaking, and it really did make me miss and somewhat regret that we didn't get our kids out into the hiking and the nature outdoors as much as we could have. But I didn't feel too bad because I feel like outdoors has always been part of their life with the sports that they were introduced to and the sports that they played. We didn't do, you know, formal hikes,
Right.
but we did do outdoors. Outdoors was something that was important to us as a family.
Right. And I think that would have probably been hard pressed. Because really didn't start to enjoy hiking. Gosh, the last 6 or 7 years. So I think it would have been really hard getting me out there as well. Like, no, I don't want to. I walk at work all day. I don't want to go walk out and, where there's bears and lions and tigers. Oh my, So, but I think now I'm excited about, as our children get older and they have children, I think it's going to be something that we kind of link up and do again when they come and visit, because I think they now enjoy those things that they're not, in sports anymore. So I do think that they would enjoy those things a lot more now. So yeah.
And you see them take their own kids, like
Mm-hmm.
Shay and Josh. Those are big mountain people and
Mm-hmm.
lake people. So they're on the lake and on the mountain all the time, outdoors in nature. Jordan has given his kid, Roman, some amazing outdoor times and visits to view different places that kids just normally would get to see. So I see them, and Sam and Marissa taking those boys outside to do things. They're big outdoors people.
Right. Yeah. And I would say, for anyone who's listening, I don't think you ever miss an opportunity. It's never too late to start new adventures with your family, creating those new memories. And I think that's where the enemy tries to trick us and trap us. Like, oh, we missed out on that. We coulda, shoulda, woulda. But again, as long as there's breath in your lungs and you're able to get out and do, I encourage you guys to go out and have those experiences with your kids, with your grandkids, and make the most of those memories, creating new memories. And I know that's what we do now. And I know there was a point in my life where I felt, oh man, I missed out on this, I missed out on that. But they were all lies, because again, we're still healthy and we can still do these things. So my goal is to say go and not no.
Yeah, you are right where you need to be doing the things that you are supposed to do, and just go as you're led, like you said. We're not missing out on anything, and we don't need to miss out on anything either.
No.
Yeah. So we were in the air for Good Friday and in airports on Good Friday. Um, what makes Good Friday good?
Friday. No.
Mm-hmm.
I think Jesus, making the ultimate sacrifice. Um, and you can read the Bible for years and years and years, but again, there's always, every time you read it, there's something different. In this season, my focus was on choice, and choices are so huge. What am I going to wear to work today? What shoes am I going to wear? What shirt am I going to wear? Most of us have multiple cars. What car am I going to drive today? So, choice. And I think we take it for granted that Jesus uh, made the ultimate sacrifice, and he chose to sacrifice himself on the cross for us to have those choices. And there are, several times where he could have just changed his mind. One comes to mind when he said, Lord, why hast thou forsaken me? And man, that was an opportunity for him to just go, yeah, I'm kind of done with this. But he made the choice to finish what he had started, which gives us an opportunity to serve him, give us an opportunity to choose. So I make the active choice each day to serve the Lord, to serve my wife, to serve my children, to serve my job, to serve my neighbor. And I think that is the gift that pleases the Lord. One of the gifts that pleases the Lord when we choose to serve others. And I think it's rewarding and fulfilling as well. So, yeah.
Definitely. Over this week, I kept hearing through different books that I was reading, or different podcasts, or different Bible studies, that you can't know what is good unless something bad happens. And so, for people who don't know the Lord, him dying on the cross would be considered bad. But he had to. And like you said, he chose to. He wanted to redeem us back to him, and that was the only way, by the blood of his son.
Right.
And so in order for it to be a good Friday, we have to know what the bad is.
Mm-hmm.
And so the bad is not having a relationship with Jesus. The bad is succumbing to the prince of this earth, which is Satan, which brings the chaos, which brings the destruction of families and anxiety and all of those things. If you were to explain the good and the bad of Good Friday to somebody who has no idea or who wants to know, what would you say to them about Good Friday?
Wow. I think, honestly, I keep it simple. Just keeping it about his sacrifice for us, and what that entitles us to. And that entitles us to a choice of living for him and surrendering our own fleshly drive to just take care of self. And I mean, I like to challenge folks just to take a day and serve other people and just make an assessment at the end of the day of what you feel like. And then take the next day and just serve yourself and do the exact same thing. Make an assessment of what you feel like. And I mean, it's 100% effective for me. When I serve others, there's so much joy. I feel fulfilled. I feel accomplished. Versus when I'm serving myself, I feel very easily agitated, complain a lot. So again, I would want them to keep their focus on sacrificing and giving to others, and that feeling you have is what God wants us to have, especially when we have a relationship with Him. Once we give our lives to Him, He will teach us and show us how to be better servants. And I think the world teaches us just the opposite. You know, if you want something, you got to claw, scratch, and, I'm pretty sure you've heard that saying before. And what does that mean? The clawing, the scratching, and all of that. That means you're actually pushing somebody else, hurting somebody else, harming somebody else to get what you want and get ahead in life. And what is getting ahead in life anyway? So again, just keeping it simple, just trying to give them examples of how God is the ultimate servant who gave his life for us, and it's easy for us to add those practices to our lives once we're really ready to surrender, and give up our lives to save our lives. So, yeah.
I think sometimes simple and easy get misconstrued or thought of as the same thing. To keep it simple is not easy.
Mm-hmm.
It is not easy to deny yourself, ever. Or we would do it all the time. He says to deny yourself and pick up your cross. So another thing that I have been pondering on is denying yourself or denying Christ. And you were talking about making a choice, and that comes with every choice that we make. Every choice is this serving me or is this serving Christ?
Right.
And going right down to the foods that we eat. And so we think about the different ways that we celebrate. And Jesus knew that. He said, I am the bread, I am the life. And we like comfort, we like convenience, and we like to indulge, and how different that is compared to what he's asking us to do, to rely on him as the bread
Right.
of our lives.
Absolutely. And again, I think you're right. It isn't easy. That's why I like to put that challenge out there. And when you connect with the feeling of this may not be easy to give up everything, but when I go through my day serving others and that feeling, that reward I feel, because I feel in my heart that's what we're designed to do, is to serve, versus when we're serving ourselves, and how, man, empty and frustrated we feel. Most people. I can't say it's 100%, and I think most people have just gotten used to that feeling of doggy dog world. That I'm just going to get to the top, and when they get there, you realize that they're not happy, they're not fulfilled. And I don't know how many celebrities over the years who had everything seemingly, committed suicide or depressed, and these things, and you're left scratching your head. But like, wow, their bank account, they can have anything they want. Why? Why would they do such a crazy, horrible thing? Why would they take their lives? And I think simply because the thing they're chasing is Christ, and when they realize, find. Anyways, you know where I'm going with that. So, but yeah,
There's that joke, how do you eat an elephant?
one bite
One
at a
bite at
time.
a time. Yes, and I think that goes with also serving God. And we teach our children, and parents teach their children to obey adults, and every little act of obedience is preparing them for the next act of obedience. And it doesn't start off easy. You've seen um, toddlers throw tantrums when they don't get their way or get what they want, or think they get, or think, or get what they think they need.
Mm-hmm.
And we're no different as adults. We have to make those same choices, and we can't go from being disobedient and dishonorable to the next day making all the choices for the Lord. And so it's little by little that mindset that, yep, this is uncomfortable. And if I can do it with this, then I can do it with bigger things. So when you're thinking of, personally, I do it with food choices and I do it with exercise. I'm going to push myself almost to the point of crying. And sometimes I do actually cry when I'm working out, because I know the next time I can work out a little bit harder.
Right.
But there are people who, right when they start to feel the tiniest bit of discomfort or pain, they turn it off. Workout done. And you've prepared yourself for nothing. You've prepared yourself to turn it off the next time that it gets hard.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's something that we worked on with our kids growing up. Do those hard things. The next time it's going to be easier. And that's in the classroom, that's on the field, that's on the court, it's at your dinner table. Lots of times people just eat because they're bored. So you have to train your mind, you have to train your body not to do those things because they're not healthy for you. That's
Right.
called gluttony, that's indulgence, that's selfishness. And all of those things are things that God wants us to stay away from. He calls that sin. So I think discipline yourself, teach your kids to discipline themselves with the little things, and you will be able to make those hard choices of obedience, like denying yourself for Christ, as they come along, because it'll be a habit to be
Right.
formed.
Absolutely. And I will end with this. And I shared this with my wife a while back, where I had one of my closest friends from high school, still really close to this day, Mike Lee. most recently said to me, he used to hate the fact that, when it came to football, I'm going to outwork everybody. I'm going to be the first on the field and the last to leave. But when I was doing other sports, I didn't have that same discipline. Like for track, for instance, I would come to practice and do the relays, and if we had short workouts, I'd do it. Then anything longer than the lap or whatever, I'd be like, peace out, I'm going home. Well, he shared with me how frustrating that used to make him, that um, I didn't have to work as hard as everybody else, but I still had really good times. But and this, for the record, Mike did beat me. I don't think I ever beat him in a race. Um, but he was just saying how sad it was to know that I had the ability, but I was so undisciplined because track wasn't my number one sport, that I would compromise and not give my all. And that really set into my heart, thinking like, wow, and this, as I became a coach, that's the one thing I wanted to really help young kids understand. When you're going to do something, do it 110%. Even if it's not your favorite sport or whatever, give it your all and then reap the benefits. So I couldn't make any excuses if I didn't win a race or if I didn't perform at the top of my game, because I didn't earn it. I didn't work hard. So now it really does resonate when I think about those things. When discipline yourself with the little things, so you'll be prepared when the big things come.
And that goes in line with God's word that says, whatever your hand finds to do, do it as unto the Lord and do it with all your might. And it is, even those little things, because God says it's the little foxes that create the disaster and the chaos and destroy the land. And so we have to keep track of those little foxes, control them little by little before we're overtaken by them. One day, you could just be looking in the mirror and like, whoa, what happened here? And it happened one choice at a time. It wasn't an overnight success or failure.
I have plenty of this. Like, honey, how did I get so big? One bite at a time.
Well, today is Saturday, and for some people, Jesus was silent. And I imagine during Bible times, the mourning that happened with Jesus being gone, watching him die on the cross. But he wasn't silent. He defeated the grave, and he was resting. And that's what we need to do. We need to rest in him, rest in his work. And I guess that goes back to the identity piece. If we know who we belong to, he is the conqueror, he is the victor. If we can know that we belong to him, then we can rest from our striving and we can live loved and help other people live loved as well. What are your thoughts on silent or Sabbath Saturday?
I honestly don't have much to add to that. I agree with it 100%. And I actually just talking to you the other day about when I'm really focused on God, I do get silent. And I think your advice was to just communicate that to people, because I said oftentimes people ask me, "What's wrong? What's bothering you? You don't seem like yourself." And just that piece of communicating with you or to friends or even coworkers, because oftentimes at work, I work for a Christian organization, so I can go there. Oftentimes at work, when God's dealing with me, I get really silent and quiet. And sometimes people think I'm upset and I'm not. And I just have to be, my mouth gets small so my ears get bigger so I can hear what the Lord is trying to communicate to me. So, yeah, I totally agree with you 100% with your statement.
Well, we're about to head into another week. Tomorrow is Easter, Resurrection Sunday, new life. Other adjectives or other ways that you would like to express Easter?
Uh, Coloring Easter eggs, Easter egg hunts, but that actually does not have anything to do with. So no, I'm done. Yes.
Okay. Until we meet again our next time, keep God first.
Love your family and stay active. Happy Easter.